What's the strangest conversation you've accidentally eavesdropped on? A few kids were debating on what happened to the poop after you flushed it on the train. One believed it exploded on impact with the rails, another debated the possibility of it being shot out of the side like a cannon, and another knew it was used to fuel the train. He knew it was used as fuel. Things are not true simply because they are facts. Insert satirical political comment here that I think makes me sound witty, but in fact just makes me look like an ashat. I was in line for a roller coaster years ago when I overheard a 12-year-old and her even younger sister talking to two nice strangers, all standing in line behind me. The 12-year-old was talking about how she lives on a farm with her grandparents, her little sister and her newborn kid. She goes on and on about her young kid and how her grandparents homeschool her so she has time to raise and take care of her kid, and how her little sister is helping too. She goes on to describe how little and precious and sweet her kid is and how much she loves her. I spent the entire time in line stunned and speechless and impressed by how engaged and unbothered the two strangers were during the whole conversation, i.e. asking to see pictures etc. It wasn't until we got to the front of the line that I realized she meant kid, as in a baby goat. As a person who has raised goats, I have always loved surprising people with statements like that, because people don't think about a kid being anything other than human. I once was taking with a friend in high school and stated, yeah, I've had to kill a couple kids before. If you do it right it tastes really good, and I got several very weird looks from the surrounding tables. Got them. Was checking into a luxury hotel when I was younger, and the people in the next room were fucking like animals. So I keyed a bit slower than I normally would have, because I had never been in this situation, and I was intrigued, and then in between grunts and moans she yells, I bet your wife doesn't fuck you like this. Probably goes on every day, but I never heard something like that before or since. One hella weird affair. She is almost flexing that she is fucking him instead of his wife. I wouldn't say almost. The only way for her to be more dominant would be for the wife to be sitting in the corner of the room and to hold her gaze as you shame her on her coital skills. At a Chinese restaurant, an old man says to his friend, I'm telling you my balls swelled up like this. Then he holds his hands apart like he's holding a grapefruit. That shit legit happens. It's insane. You ever seen a bowling ball stuffed into way too tiny, scrunched up, purple leather bowling ball bag that was rolled around in sweat and dog fur? It's worse than that. You ever seen a bowling ball stuffed into way too tiny, scrunched up, purple leather bowling ball bag that was rolled around in sweat and dog fur? Can't say I have. Edit. Thanks for silver. I was once in a Starbucks in Boston and witnessed a breakup which was immediately followed a failed proposal attempt. It was the craziest thing. The dude was very into her and her body language did not reply in a copacetic manner. He confessed his love to her. She replied that it wasn't gonna work and she might need some time. He replied, we have the rest of our lives to figure it out, so you have time there. He got down on a knee, pulled out a ring, she stood up and said, this is what I'm talking about. You don't listen. She asked him to stand up. He said with tears in his eyes, why? I'm still waiting for an answer. She gathered her things, left out the bag. The man sat back down and finished his frappuccino while crying. I refer to the story as the saddest cold coffee beverage ever. This is what I'm talking about. You don't listen. She's not wrong. His buddy later, well, so what did she say? Him, I'm not sure. I wasn't really listening. I overheard two guys on the subway in New York City discussing what was the perfect handgun caliber to whack someone. There was a small dude who was adamant that the best gun was a 9mm because that's what cops use. Then the big dude starts shaking his head negatively, goes on to give a small speech about anatomy and ballistics, then proceeds to state that a competent assassin would use a mere .22 handgun, since it's hard to track, ammo is cheap, and you can mag dump someone in the head without anyone knowing it's gunfire. I think those guys were on their way to the Hitman convention. .22 is nice and quiet in a rifle, but it's about as loud as a centerfire in a handgun. A friend of mine had a .22 pistol with a suppressor, paid out the ass for a license, was still pretty loud with normal ammo, but when he switched to subsonic, I swear the only sound I heard was the impact against the target and the clack of the slide. Not something I heard, but what someone eavesdropped on me. I used to work at a restaurant, and every member of the kitchen staff was Indian and didn't speak English very well. There was one white guy that worked there, and for whatever reason, they all called him Ding Ding. White guy was having a birthday party and invited us all. One of the Indian guys and myself were standing outside the restaurant smoking, and the Indian guy says to me, Indian accent, "Hey man, you going to Ding Ding party?" A guy walking by us stopped and said, "I'm sorry, I just overheard you guys, and I have to know what a Ding Ding party is." I couldn't stop laughing and eventually told him what it was. This one actually made me laugh emoji. We having a Ding Ding party, boys. My neighbor's talking to a prostitute about paying the price of 1 hour, but she wanted double the pay cause there were 2 guys with her. She wanted 1 hour per person, and the guys wanted to pay 1 hour period. That's a tough debate. She's doing double the work, but then again it still is 1 hour. My boss has never paid me double when asking for twice as much work at my hourly job. Yeah, but she's a contractor, and she essentially performing 2 contracts simultaneously. I once sat on my balcony, 3rd floor, at 2 AM to listen to a guy, ground level, who discovered his girlfriend was cheating on him. 4th floor. He climbed a tree and saw her topless with a guy with her light on. I opened a beer and took a seat. You said you were studying. You don't study with your shirt off. Is it not normal to take your shirt off while studying? I mean, I do it to go poop too, so it only seems right. Wait, girls poop? We have to go to a secret facility and no boys allowed. But yes, if you don't hear from me again, it means they know and you should run. It's been 4 minutes, lads. We should run. I think they've done her in. Once listened to a story a woman was telling her friend sitting next to me in a cafe. She became suspicious of her husband cheating on her when she was helping him unpack from a business trip and noticed a weird white stain on his shirt. She told the whole story of her googling how to figure out what it was, which I think included using specific light and stuff. Never actually got to hear the ending though, unfortunately. Using a black light lets you see stains from human fluids. Life pro tip: don't do this in a hotel room that you want to sleep comfortably in. Knowing you shouldn't is equally as bad as seeing it. It's like playing the game. The goal is to not think about it and forget it. P.S. You lost the game. Me and some coworkers were eating lunch outside on a patio, and all of a sudden 2 guys walk by and one goes, "I was licking her butthole and forget I was allergic to peanuts, so I spent the night in a hospital." We started cracking up and the guy noticed and said, "What?" It happens. How do explain? That one in the emergency room. There's this girl I know, and I had forgotten how much she likes Reese's peanut butter cups. I swear, she eats one with every meal. So, I take her to my place and the wine starts flowing. Just say I accidentally got a peanut in my mouth. You don't have to tell them you were tongue punching her fart box. My downstairs neighbors were having a fight. I was listening to a woman yelling, "Did you fuck her? Did you fuck her?" over and over. It really got exciting when another woman answered, No, I didn't." Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. After that initial argument, I started listening in. Mostly it was just swearing and denials. I did pick up bits and pieces about something at another chick's house, drinking, and a pair of shorts. There was some loud crying. Eventually I heard a door slam and some running in the outside stairwell. Nothing after that. They were still together next time I saw them. They moved out about a year later. Oh man, it's so possible this was me. Had this exact same thing happen to me. I'm a guy BTW. But here's how it went down. We were downstairs at an apartment complex and this girl I knew got kicked out of her apartment by her girlfriend. I went over there to try to play peacekeeper, but I basically told her, "GF, look, if you don't let her come inside and stay here, I'm going to take her home with me." The girl started screaming at me, "Did you fuck her? Did you fuck her?" I was quietly saying, "No, I didn't. I just don't want her sleeping outside. I'm trying to do the right thing here." Other girl finally yells, "No, I didn't sleep with him." Of course, the odds of it actually being what you heard years ago is unlikely. I just figured I'd share. Black family in the Christmas decorations aisle. 3-year-old, "Dad, can we get a white man for Christmas?" Shocked dad, "What?" 3-year-old, "A white man," points at shelf. Shocked dad looks where sun is pointing and laughs no son, that's called a snowman.